Hi everyone, I am Fiona, this is Percy, and we are here today to talk to you about our life. When I was asked to give a title for the talk, we couldn't think of anything, could we? We couldn't think what we were going to call it because we don't really like being in front of camera. Well, I don't, he does, but I don't. He's a cute one anyway. We don't like being in front of the camera too much. So I decided that we would call the talk Running for Good. And the reason that I chose that title was, it was pretty obvious actually. The great director, Keegan Kuhn, had contacted me a few years ago and said, hey, guess what? I would like to make a film about you. And I was, why would anyone want to make a film about me and Percy, of course? And he explained that he felt I was a really, really good subject and a beacon of light for veganism. I've been vegan a very long time. I ran an animal sanctuary, so I really understood what it was like to be around animals and to care for them. And I'd proven definitively that as a vegan, you can do anything, because I've got 4 world records. So I thought, wow, I hadn't really thought of myself like that, but you know, let's give it a go. So that's how the film came about, and that's why my talk has the title that it does. So to tell you a little bit about my background, if you haven't seen the documentary, I've been vegan for almost 5 decades. I went vegan when I was 6 years old, and at the time I didn't know the word. I didn't tell my mom, you know, I wasn't some super intelligent, you know, Svengali that, you know, or come from some bohemian background where all my family were vegan. It was just a principle. I didn't want to harm animals. It was a reaction against something that I found abhorrent, which was cruelty towards sentient beings. So it wasn't a decision to be vegan. Like everything in pretty much in my life, as I reflect back, there hasn't been some grand plan. Sometimes people write to me and say, how do you get an animal sanctuary? And you have to follow your heart, or that's what I've had to do. It's not a business. It's not, there's not a leaflet I can send out. It's, I suppose I come from almost a different era, and so my veganism has been about creativity. It's come from the soul. It's been about grabbing any opportunity when it comes to help animals. So the first thing was obviously to not consume them and to not be party of any industries which harmed them. The long-held dream was obvious, I think, like many people, to nurture animals, to care for them, to give them sanctuary, to give them a safe place. And that dream transformed itself into a reality for me purely by chance back in the mid-1990s. I've been doing a little bit of rescue when and where I could from just my normal house, and I had got some horses kept at a local farm. And one day I cycled home from work. I was working in London, and I came home, and on the way home I called in to see the horses in the field, and I called them over, and 7 of them came and 1 didn't. And that horse was Oscar, a racehorse that I'd been rehabilitating for a couple of years. He came to me in very, very poor condition, all broken down and very, very thin. And he'd had an accident in the field, and due to negligence of the person who owned the field, he'd allowed people to go in there and shoot rabbits Oscar had become very frightened and impaled himself on a fence. And it was that tragic accident that actually I've been kind of standing on a precipice and thinking I don't really like the model I'm working here, giving custody of my animals to somebody else while I just go to work all day to pay for it. But that was the final straw that made my family go into overdrive to try and get somewhere with a little bit of land where I could look after the animals myself the way I wanted them caring for, rather than on the terms other people laid out. And that's when the sanctuary was started. And at that point, it's just grown and grown and grown from there. And that was 25 years ago. After a couple of years of rescuing, especially farmed animals, cattle and pigs and sheep and chickens, I found that I really wanted to find a way, explore options of promoting veganism and addressing the reasons these animals needed rescuing in the first place from these horrific and exploitative industries. I mean, obviously we know where meat comes from, but a lot of people don't understand the cruelty of the dairy industry. I know when there's a film, talking about dairy is scary, and it really is. I know when Keegan, we were chatting, he told me that in Cowspiracy, one of the most demoralising shoots he did was at the dairy farm, when he saw these horrendously broken cows who were forcibly impregnated. They gave birth, they had the calves taken away from them, they were milked, and they had to just look longingly at the veal crates where their babies were being kept, and they couldn't be near them. Dairy really is scary. It's a horrible industry, but a lot of people don't actually recognise that because they don't think the animals are killed. They just think the cows happily give the milk and the babies, I don't know what they think, but it's a horribly exploitative industry. And actually, one of the reasons that you see that cow suit hanging up there, with my running career, after a few years, I took to one of my world records involves that cow suit because I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I decided to break a world record for being the fastest woman to run a half marathon dressed as an animal. And I picked a cow costume because I wanted to engender conversation as to why. Why are you running dressed as a cow? And it was then to create conversation as to the horrors of the dairy industry. And I found it worked really well. I mean, I remember one day I was running a 100-kilometre race in the outfit, and the race organiser, it was the hottest day of the year in the UK, and people were saying to me, "Oh, you're not going to run in that cow outfit, are you? You're going to bake, you're really going to swelter." And I said, yeah, because I'm running to promote the benefits of plant-based living and the horrors that plant-based living creates, which is the dairy industry. And it was very, very controversial, and I'm very proud to say that I even went out that day and won the race in the cow outfit. So it is quite a good tool for promotion of veganism in a positive way. Back in the 90s, I was kind of debating, what can I do to promote veganism in a positive way? That's pretty much my life. I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not aggressive. I don't want to. My way of challenging things is by actions rather than kind of words or shouting at people. So the idea behind the running was to just go out and be the best runner I could. And because that was the best way of promoting veganism. So I have had obstacles with my running, and I hope that not only by promoting veganism and helping the animals, it can help other people who have also faced major challenges in their lives. Because I was actually told as a teenager, I'd had a lot of orthopedic surgeries, and that I probably wouldn't be able to walk properly again after I'd had my kneecap removed eventually, let alone run, which was heartbreaking at the time for me because I was very, very sporty and my life revolved around being outside and being athletic and doing all these things. So it was a really, really difficult challenge to take on running. And the reason I took on running was, at the time, there was no social media. So the only way you could get a message out there to the masses was by using the mainstream media. And to do that, you'd either got to do something very, very good or very, very bad. Well, I'm not going to do anything very, very bad. So I thought, well, possibly I could do it through sport. But the problem was, the only real sport, female sport particularly, of interest in the UK at the time was marathon running, because Paula Radcliffe was doing really, really well in the event. All the adjectives were out there and the hype was out there surrounding marathons. It's the toughest event in endurance. You've got to be physically very, very strong, mentally very, very focused. Everything that I wanted to kind of illustrate with veganism. So I thought, well, if I could just compete in a marathon and hopefully complete it, it shows that as a long-time vegan, it's not prohibitive to doing anything. This diet, this plant-based diet, is not prohibitive. It's not going to be negative to your health, and it's going to showcase what you can do in not just athletic events, but in day-to-day life. If I can do this, you can surely do anything that you want to do. So that was the kind of fundamental idea behind my running. I didn't have a plan, like I didn't have a plan to get the sanctuary or anything. It just happened, and it's grown organically with me. So I started off like any other runner, and that's what I want to message people. You know, if you believe nothing is written, you can create your own chapters, and that's what I've done in kind of life as an ongoing book. And I really, really didn't know if I was going to be able to be any good at this or not. It turned out that I'm not too bad. I've broken 4 world records. I started off simple equation. 2 big marathons a year was all I was going to run, and I was going to do well in them, and I was going to train very, very hard for them, motivating myself. I don't have a coach. It was difficult for me to get a coach, because what many people were saying back in the day was, we could try and help you physically with your running, but you're going to go away and live in a plant-based diet, which is going to be detrimental to what you're doing. So we're not really willing to invest our time in you. And my argument was, well, the only reason I'm out there trying to run is because I want to promote veganism, so that's not up for negotiation. So I've had to learn how to run myself. And it has been a hard challenge, just trial and error, but you can do it. And if I can do it, I want to inspire other people to believe that they can do anything you want to do within reason. You probably can do. It's all up here. And although I've said I don't run for myself, I run for the animals, every athlete, I think, has got to be a bit competitive and probably want to win. I've wanted to win, but for them. And I think that's made my need even greater. It is hard. One of the most fascinating things that people find about me is that I can self-motivate to run 9 times a week. I train very, very hard, train about 100 miles a week, 3 speed sessions, and I really ask for 100% out of myself. But I realise now that it's probably a little bit easier for me to do that because, as I'm going to take and show you now, here I am in my gym. I'm actually standing on my running machine. My weights are all here, and these are all my world record finishing vests and whatever. But it's always very, very close to my heart and my eyes, physically and mentally, of why I'm running. And the reason I'm running is out here. Sanctuary and the animals. That's a little calf that I took in. His name is Rudolph, and his mum is somewhere around, probably in the barn over there. But this is why I run. This is my sanctuary. The animals are literally always in my vision, so if ever I do feel like stopping running or whatever, I only need to look out here. This is the reason behind what I do. So probably it's not such a kind of anomaly that now you know that where I train, that it's not so hard to get up and motivate myself. But it is difficult, and I do work very, very hard with my running, as I do with the sanctuary. But I get up at 3:30 in the morning. That's how I have a very, very busy day. I find it very, very easy to work through the day. I only eat one meal a day. These are all truths that people find quite remarkable about me, but it's just something that I've learned to do. If you want something, you have to find a way of making it happen. I was going to give you a little bit of my running resume. I've come top 20 in the London Marathon and the Berlin Marathon. I won the main start of the Great North Run. I'm a 2:38 marathon runner. I've got 4 world records. I'm the fastest woman in both running time and days elapsed to run a marathon at the North Pole and on every continent. I've completed Marathon de Sables 3 times in stage 1 in one. Same within the Atacama Crossing in multi-stage races. So I'm very, very versatile, and I think now what I wanted to showcase, you change as you get older with experience. Originally, I wanted to promote veganism through the running, just through simple results. But now I find that I can talk to people and I can tell them, hey, I've been running for 20 years and I've never had a running injury. I've had injuries which have prevented me from running, like the fractured toes that I broke just before Marathon de Sables the first time I ran it. But I've never actually had a running injury. One of the greatest testaments to veganism, from my own personal standpoint, is the way that I can recover very, very quickly. I can still run twice a day if I have to with speed sessions. It's recovery and repair that's very important. That's what will showcase the running on the day. So you might get a 2:38 in a marathon. Yes, that's great to be able to put that on paper, but the biggest testament to that is how much training your body has been allowed to do in order for you to get 2:38 in a marathon. The longevity of my career and the fact that I'm very proud of this, I'll just show you here. My England running vest, running for England, that was a very, very great honour, and to be selected to run for England in both a half marathon and 10k. So things like that, are all just bonuses in a mission that I've got in life, which is the promotion and spreading the good word about veganism and hoping that other people will follow suit and take heed. And it is happening. I mean, certainly now in the UK, I think for the last couple of years, it's, plant-based living, whatever you want to call it, is on the rise massively. And I had hoped now that with the COVID and the pandemics that are caused by eating meat, people would turn more to a plant-based diet. That's pretty much become my passion to share with people. Not knowledge, or I say that people ask me what my strong points are. I think my strong points are that I know very little actually, but I understand that and I want to learn more, rather than sitting there thinking, oh, I've been vegan for 50 years, I've got all the answers. And I haven't. But I understand that, and I always want to look for solutions for the planet, for the environment, for the animals. What is veganism to me? Well, veganism is basic justice and compassion. Justice for all, social justice. I would like to see a fairer distribution of the Earth's resources, not just physically, but for me, we have a lot of problems living together as a global community. Some people on this planet right now, they don't have an opportunity to have a voice. In the UK especially, I always feel very embarrassed and ashamed that we have so many things available to us, yet we constantly look at what we haven't got and desire those things, rather than have an ability to step back and think about how blessed we are to have the very basic things in life, but they are the essential things. So, for instance, when you do races like Marathon de Sables, they're multi-stage races. It's day in, day out. You have to go out there and run. You carry a very small backpack in which everything is contained. So your food, one of my packs for this race is actually here. So you've only got this for the whole week. And in there has to be all your food, your medical supplies, any clothing, anything you need, your sleeping bag, everything has to be in a pack that size. And you have to carry it, and it, as well as water. And that pack weighs about 11 kilos, and I'm not big, so I'm only like 47 kilos myself. So it's you really, really do cut things down to the minimum. But it makes you appreciate things. It makes you appreciate every drop of water, every mouthful of food. Things that people do tend to take for granted. And I know when I've come back into civilization, if you like it, and you turn the tap on and water comes out, you're not interested in whether it's sparkling water or fruit flavoured water. It's water and you can drink it, and that is a blessing. And I think that that is the key to a better future for all. We realise that for others to have more, we must have less, and embrace having less, and appreciate the things that really, really do matter. And I had hoped actually with the COVID crisis as it's hit the world that we would realise and appreciate the simple things, our freedoms being one of those things, things which are denied to these beautiful creatures, so many cases, and reflect on how similar we are, how similar all species are. And for instance, we don't want different things, we don't particularly need different things to our friends the animals. Food, shelter, water and freedom, no pain, no fear. They're the basic substances of all life and the basic rights of all life, which we deny others. And that's what my life's mission has been to address. So whether it be here at the sanctuary looking after the animals, simply by the choices I make on my own plate, which are very, very simple, or by getting out there and showing people the beauty of a vegan diet. That's what my life is about. I don't particularly enjoy being praised for what I do, because I honestly see it as a privilege to be able to make some tiny little difference to another soul's life. And I hope that I will be able to continue doing that for a very long time, for however long I have on this planet, whether it be a day or 4 decades, I don't know. I just hope that I am able to be blessed with a heart and a soul and a mind and a body that continues, that I can go out there and help others, because that is the greatest reward in life, to make a difference. And when I leave this planet, when my body leaves this planet, I think I hope that the message of my soul remains, and that it does create positivity for future generations. And that positivity is basically the message of peace for all. So I would like to say welcome, and how wonderful it has been able to spend this time with my friends, you, my friends, and I wish you all a tremendous future, a peaceful future, happy. And I know that my greatest mantra is to say that always remember that health is wealth, and I think health of the body and the mind, and for me veganism brings that, and that will be my message to everybody. So thank you very much for listening, and if anybody would like to get in contact and find out more, I'm always here to help and chit chat and speak to people, and it's a great honour to be with you, and enjoy the rest of this amazing conference. Thank you. Bye bye.